These words are for the woman who was pushed, corrected, and praised in ways that still left her feeling unseen. You do not need to achieve anything while listening. You do not need to learn something, make progress, or prove that this time is useful. These affirmations are here for the daughter who learned that it was safer to impress people than to simply be herself. It makes sense that I learned to monitor myself so closely when I grew up feeling watched, assessed, corrected, and improved. It makes sense that rest can feel vaguely guilty when love often came wrapped in pressure, advice, and expectations. I am allowed to admit that being pushed toward success is not the same thing as being emotionally known. I am allowed to grieve that my parent could be invested in my future while still missing my inner world. I did not imagine the feeling of being evaluated all the time, even in moments that were supposed to be supportive. When I felt watched all the time, that did not feel like real care. It felt like pressure. It makes sense that I struggle to know what I want when so much of my energy went into becoming what they wanted from me. It makes sense that I still hear a voice inside me saying I should do more, do better, or be somewhere else entirely. I am allowed to notice how often my worth got tied to output, discipline, potential, appearance, or measurable progress. Being praised for performance does not erase the loneliness of not feeling met emotionally. My exhaustion makes sense if achievement became the language through which love, pride, and safety were communicated. I am allowed to stop romanticizing pressure just because it looked productive from the outside. I am allowed to tell the truth that someone can be hardworking, responsible, and still emotionally intrusive. When every choice invited correction, it made sense that initiative started to feel dangerous instead of alive. It makes sense that I hesitate, procrastinate, or shut down when my own goals start getting mixed up with old pressure. I do not have to keep calling control help when my body experienced it as being watched. I am allowed to have a life that is not a report card. I am allowed to make decisions that the old part of me still seeking approval may not understand. My pace does not have to be fast or productive to be valid. My interests do not have to become impressive in order to count as real. I am learning that being guided and being overruled are not the same thing. I am learning that I can seek support without handing over authority over my life. I can listen for my own signals not only for the old voice that asks how this will look, perform, or compare. When I feel behind, defective, or not enough, I can gently ask whether that feeling truly belongs to the present. I do not have to turn every dream into a project. I do not have to become extraordinary in order to deserve tenderness. Ordinary moments of joy, slowness, uncertainty, and being in process are not failures of character. There is nothing immature about wanting to be known for who I am, not just for what I can do. Uncertainty does not mean I am failing. It may mean I am finally making room for wants that are actually mine. My slowness is not always avoidance. Sometimes it is the nervous system trying to recover from years of pressure dressed up as support. It makes sense that I struggle to enjoy my strengths when so many of them were shaped in an atmosphere of being measured. I am allowed to grieve the hobbies, dreams, and softer parts of me that became performances the moment they were noticed. I can stop outsourcing self-trust to the people who taught me to second-guess my own instincts. I can let success become something I define from the inside, instead of something I keep chasing from an old feeling of not being enough. People who truly love me do not need me to stay anxious in order to stay motivated. My healing does not have to look impressive in order to be real, deep, and life-changing. I am allowed to disappoint the old family idea of success if it takes me away from what feels true. The life that suits me may look less polished from the outside and far more honest on the inside. The child in me needed acceptance sturdy enough to exist before achievement, not only after. I am allowed to build a life that feels like mine, even if it disappoints the fantasy of who I was supposed to be. My value is still here when I am not producing, improving, or proving. I can become more intimate with myself than I ever was with their expectations. I am not lazy, lost, or failing for wanting a life bigger than performance. I am not alone, and I do not have to earn the right to exist in peace.